Good morning, everyone. Hello from freezing Louisiana. It was 29 degrees this morning when I woke up to start preparing and crafting and doing all kinds of fun stuff here in the studio this morning. And I know that there are many of you out there in the prairie lands and in the east that have temperatures way colder than that, and you can keep them up there, okay? 29 is pushing it down here in the south. But I have some fun ideas that will hopefully warm us all up. And we're going to be looking at the terrific Toadstools bundle today. First off, Stampin' Up! Kicked off celebration today. It is officially live. All of the products that I have been previewing are now available for purchase. Simply go to janetwakeland.stampinup.net, click on Shop Now, then What's New, and you'll find all of the amazing things that I've been showing you. But just because all of the product is now available for purchase doesn't mean that I'm done showcasing them. I'm still going to continue my daily videos through January 10th, and then there'll probably be every couple of days after that. I'm also going to be going back through. There's some cards that I want to make with you. We'll resume our Make a Card with Me, so you're not just looking at samples and getting some general tips. We'll be making cards start to finish. So lots of fun stuff to look forward to. Make sure you like and follow me so you don't miss any of it. So this bundle is a really fun set of toadstools, and then it has a coordinating punch. And just in the interest of trivia, the difference between a toadstool and a mushroom is that toadstools are known to be poisonous or they will make you sick when you eat them, which is also what poison does, right? Either kills you or makes you sick. So I just had to look that up. I was a little bit curious. In addition, toadstools are usually the more colorful mushrooms that you will see out there, which is not unusual in the animal and plant world. Things that are poisonous tend to have those brighter colors kind of as a warning signal. So pretty amazing world that we live in. You're going to be able to find this bundle on page 53 if you have a copy of the print catalog, and you're going to see some fun samples. You're going to see the codes for ordering, and you're going to see the bundle right here. In addition to the stamp and punch bundle, in the celebration brochure, in your choices for rewarding yourself for retail therapy and a qualifying purchase, there is this really fun pack of designer papers that has a toadstool theme with them. So it'll be kind of fun for bringing those stamps to life. And it's got bright, happy colors in it. You're going to be seeing some of your Granny Apple Green and Melon Mambo, Pumpkin Pie. You've got Highland Heather in it. So just some really fun colors. And then you've got some great neutrals to work with on the other side. Just the first tip before we show you some samples and get into even more tips. One of the things that I like to do is when I get paper and I'm starting to create, I'm like trying to come up with ideas or whatever. One of the things that I'll do is I'll grab the designer paper and then I'll look for other paper in my stash that could well coordinate with it, okay? So this happens to be the piece of paper from the coordinating toadstool pack. I should look up its name for you so I give you the right name of that paper. So hang on just a second. Let me find it here. I need to get some fingerless gloves. So it's called Toadstool Gardens, okay? So here is the Toadstool Garden piece. This is a piece from the Beautiful Butterflies, the bokeh paper. This is, oh my gosh, another celebration paper pack. Hold on a second. I just need to learn these and we can learn these together. Bloom Impressions. And then we have this from our fruit pack that's also a celebration. So you've got those ones that work really well together. Here is another one from the Toadstool Gardens. And this is another one from that fruit pack. This is one of the ones that was just released that has like the paint swatches and things on it. Here we have another one from the Totally Toadstools. Again, that pack of paper, more from the fruit. Can you see the versatility there? More from the bokeh, how that pulls all the colors in. Another one from the Toadstools. This time just the reverse side, just to kind of show you that you can work with those reverse sides, and then pulling in some of the green again from that fruit. So we'll be definitely doing a video on that fruit paper because it's so much. But when I start here, it really helps me. It gives me some color combinations and ideas. But just because this paper is all bright doesn't mean that you have to stamp your images that way. You can definitely go with a more neutral palette, picking some colors that maybe are more earthy, kind of like mushrooms are. And in this case, I used some wood grain paper, garden green, wild wheat, and poppy parade, embossed it. This is some plaid paper from our lavender paper pack. So you don't always have to go bright, but it is kind of fun to see those bright, happy colors. Here you can see where I mixed some of those papers that I just showed you, pulling in the melon mambo, highland heather, and in this case, this is peach pie because these are just a little softer. And strips of paper are a great way to kind of fill up your background and use up your scraps. In this case, these are alternating 1/2 inch, 1 inch pieces of, or 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, strips of paper. This is a shape from a set of, from a bundle I haven't shown you yet, Memorable Flowers, and you'll see that. But I loved how I was able to create an opening, kind of give the look of a forest behind it. We used the wood grain here on the espresso. So some of the bright colors, but then muted with the crumb cake and the espresso, kind of toning it down just a little bit. Back to the strips of paper, showcasing the mix and match versatility of Stampin' Up's designer papers and Stampin' Up's color families. So here we've got the 3 tiny mushrooms. The little hello is from the Heartfelt stamp set. That is a celebration offering, and just some baker's twine. And in this case, these are 1 inch strips put across the front of the card. Here, just another fun way to use your designer paper. We've got it. I took a piece that was 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I cut it on a diagonal. So I've got 2 different pieces, which means for my next one, the melon mambo will be up here and the fun wood grain will be down here. And we just kept the colors simple to tie into the designer papers. And then for this one, we just used a whole piece of that really fun paper from Toadstool Gardens and put our mushrooms up here on the top. Just a little note and thank you. And just to bring the stamp set back in here for just a second in the punch, we'll start to play with all of these here in just a second. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different, or 5 different sizes and types of mushrooms. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different stems for your mushrooms. You've got this little mound here that can be a mound of rocks, a mound of ground, a mound of dirt, a mound of moss or lichen. A lot of your mushrooms like a moist, wet environment to grow in, so a lot of times you will find it among the mossy mican or the kind of dead and decaying materials on the ground. You've got a fun little leaf here to work with, popping up to say hi. You are magical. Those of you that are Disney fanatics, you're going to need it just for this greeting. And just a little thank you. So that's that. So let's push these aside. We'll bring them back in. But let's talk some tips here for just a second. This punch has something that's unique to it. And because of what's unique to it, I can't use my standard tip. Normally with a builder punch, I would take my stamps and I would put them right on here. And you can kind of squish them in just a little bit, but it defeats the purpose of what this punch does. You can still do it, and we're going to do it together just to showcase it for you. And I'm going to use just one color in the interest of time. But I could have, used my markers, colored these all up. But I'm going to basically just use this as my block. And I'm going to take my ink direct to it. Again, I could color it with my markers instead. I'm going to grab myself a scrap piece of paper, and I'm just going to press this down. And what this does is it mimics the punch. So now when I open this up, and we still need to cut it just a little bit, because we need this piece to slide back into the punch, because you can see it's up towards that back side. So I just need to make sure that I can get this in. And now when I slide this in. I'm going to go ahead and I can punch all three of those images at one time by using my punch as that master. So the reason, then now let's do it a little different way here for just a second, because I want to show you why I said that this kind of defeats one of the cool things about this that's a little bit different. So yeah, let's just stick with gray. I could use some gray mushrooms. We can have some fun with the gray and black color scheme. So I've got my mushroom here. And normally with Stampin' Up! Punches, when you go to punch, I'm going to hold this up, you have a white edge that shows up around it. In this case, this punch is designed to not give you a white edge. So you'll know that this is in place when you can't see any of the colored cardstock that you're stamping from around it, okay? And so if you want a little bit of a white edge, my trick of putting them on here works. If not, if you want no white edge, then stamping them or punching them individually will work. A trick for saving paper is to know approximately about how wide your image is, okay? And once you know the width of that image, now you can just go ahead and use up your scraps. I'm just gonna do 2 here, and I can just kind of put this in this way for this one. Or the other way that you can do it, let's just take our stem. We're going to just stick with our gray tones. Gray shows up on the camera. I can have a skinny piece here if I just want the stem, and I can just come in here and I don't have all that waste by having to stamp all of them. Just get something that's the approximate width of what it is that you want to be stamping. Or to be punching, excuse me, not stamping. Sorry to twist my words around. So you have that. Now, something else though, so you might have some scraps. If you're a crafter, you might have some scraps, right? So I'm gonna take this piece, and maybe my scrap is too tiny to feed in here the way that I want to feed it in here. A great thing to do then is to just take a Post-it note, and any size will work, and I'm just going to grab the edge of my paper, and that frees my hand up, and now I can slide that in by using that Post-it note. So that's going to allow me, I may have to cut this piece of paper down. It might be a little too, yep, just a little too wide yet to fit all the way in here, but you get the idea. Okay, that we can do this, okay? And then we can punch it out and then just release our paper. And depending on your size of your Post-it note, you may have some room left over, but those are just some tips, ooh, sorry, for working with the punch. Proves how sturdy that glass mat is. I have yet to be able to stain it or ding it or do anything to it, so love, love, love that. Huge shout out. One more tip for the punch is to take a piece of paper. Let me bring it back in. I almost forgot this tip. Is to bring in a piece of cardstock. The regular size weight basic white I find works the best. The thick will end up giving you a lip, and you don't want that. And so now what you can do is, with that piece that you just punched out, this is going to become your template. Instead of putting your stamps on here on a piece of paper, you can take your stamped image and stamp over that. And when you have all 3 of your images stamped in your different colors, you'll be able to slide it into the punch so that it's lined up by using the template, okay? So that's another way to work with that punch. So hopefully the tips will help some of you that are always trying to get as much as you can out of a piece of paper. I've been known to just have literally crumbs left when I'm done, so I appreciate that. So now let's take a look at another tip that can be helpful when working with this particular bundle. So there's a couple of different ways, 2 different ways that I found for working with the different mushrooms, because the stem is separate from the topper of it, okay, the top of the mushroom. So in this case, I want the stem to be behind the mushroom. So we're going to do this in 2 different colors this time. And you can see that your photopolymer stamps will stain over time, especially using the red inks and things like that. There is a system that some people use where they use like the petal pink and the retired blush blossom and stuff like that to stamp first before stamping the color that they want. I just find that that's an extra step. For me, the staining doesn't impact the quality of the image. And I always like to joke that if I know if it's stained a little bit, it means I used it. If it has no stains on it, it means that I just bought it and put it on the shelf and looked at it. So, but if you're bothered by staining, there are some tricks and steps out there that some crafters use to minimize that. So I'm just gonna stamp, okay? And then I'm just gonna grab a Post-it note. I often like to work with translucent Post-it notes. The downside to a translucent Post-it note, however, is that the ink doesn't always dry on them. So you just have to be really careful. But I like the quality of being able to see through it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp partially on the sticky part and then partially on the part that's not sticky. And I'm simply going to cut just the top part of the mushroom, not the whole part out. I think I just did this backwards. Yes, I did. Okay, sorry about that. Hang on just a second. Did it backwards. Let's grab another. Thank goodness we can buy these in bulk, right? So we're going to do it the other way around. Let me do it. I think you go. Think about this here for just a second. Okay. Now let's cut it. And I'm just cutting right up to the edge of the image. I still did it kind of backwards, but you'll get the idea. Now I'll just cut the whole thing out and you'll get the idea. I'm going to lay this down on here to protect it so that no other ink will end up on it. I'll ink up my stem and I'm going to put my stem down, pick it up, and now my stem is behind the mushroom, or the mushroom is sitting on top of the stem. The other way to work with this, and I wanted to play with a color combination, so we're going to do that together, is I found that finding a light and a dark color combination here, you can see real red and early espresso. You're going to take, and let's clean this up first, the mushroom first, and this works for all the mushrooms in the pack. Okay, we're going to take that mushroom, we're going to stamp our Lost Lagoon, and then we're going to take our pecan pie, we're going to look right down in, and I'm going to put that stem right up in the center of that. So either way is a fun look on your projects, and for most of mine I did them behind, but on these projects, once I cut this one out and once I finish this card up, they will go ahead and be behind them. The technique of putting a Post-it note over the image is called masking. When you do masking, you always want to put the image that you want behind something first. Okay, so if you want it to be behind something, you put that down first and then the next one on top of it. So any questions at all, just let me know. And yesterday during my video, I misspoke about the qualifying purchases for celebration benefits. They are $60 and $120. Stampin' Up! Did make a change for the first time in 25 years of doing celebration. So I am sorry that I misspoke. Sometimes my tenure as a demonstrator means that I'm stuck old school still, and it takes a while for my brain to catch up with the changes. So I apologize for that misspeaking. If you are one of my customers, just a reminder to go check my newsletter. I did send it out last night with my January special offers. There are 2 ways for some of you to qualify for free shipping during this month from me. And also in that newsletter, you will find 10 downloadable free PDF tutorials for projects featuring new products. None of the projects or any of them that I have featured in my videos so far. So they're all new and exclusive to that newsletter for you guys. My newsletter is open to everyone and anyone, no matter where you live, whether you're a customer or a demonstrator. You're more than welcome to be on my mailing list. It is free. If you're just curious about what I do and what I offer, I'm an open book. And again, you're more than welcome to be on that mailing list. The newsletter does include 20 plus PDFs each month, includes my special offers, includes Stampin' Up! News, includes things like my product shares, my virtual retreats and classes, and other things that I do for my customers. So if you're interested, simply message me your email address and we will get you added to that and you'll get the most recent copy. So make sure that you stop by on page in the catalog that features this, and don't miss out on this really fun, happy suite of toadstools that are just ready to send a really sweet message to someone that you know and love. I'll see you tomorrow with video number 15, guys.